Hello and welcome to Enterprise Morning on Enterprise Television. I still remain Kende Bodurin.
And I am Henry Igwebike.
As usual, we are so delighted to start the day with you. And as always, we begin with a quick look at today's newspaper reviews. And before diving into the major conversation of the day, you don't want to miss a moment with us. You can join the conversation by liking, following us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. You can as well share. Thank you. So joining us this morning is our ever-present Evans Sufeli, who is a barrister and a public affairs analyst. He will be sharing expert insight on the issues we have before us. Thank you so much for joining.
Good morning to you, barrister.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
All right. So just welcome. To let us know that barrister joins us from Toronto in Canada. Yeah. So let's get talking on some of the things happening from our newspapers. And we have laundry list of stories from the Daily Trust, from the Vanguard newspaper, from the Punch newspaper, and from the Guardian newspaper. But let's start with the Daily Trust newspaper. From the top strip, Saraki Olu Ibadan to lead 23rd Daily Trust dialogue.
Okay, and still on the big story there on the Daily Trust newspaper, we have Katsina defense release of 70 bandits.
And also on the bottom strip, defection, Kwankwaso's loyalists skip Governor Yusuf's outing.
Okay, beneath that we have Fubara urges calm, lawmakers insist on impeachment.
And also 11 killed as farmers herders clash in Taraba State.
Okay, and beside that we have 2026 1.7 billion naira voted for Tinubu Shetima's residence renovations.
All right, so barrister, let's get talking on the big story here. Katsina defense release of 70 bandits. I do not know why Daily Trust keep referring to these people, these criminals, as bandits, because they have been upgraded to terrorists, but they still call them bandits. So what is there exactly that Nigerians need to know that we still don't know about why criminals that have ended the lives of our military men and Nigerians have been let loose and allowed to go home?
Yes, we've had this situation that most of the times these terrorists have been treated with kid gloves. Okay, somebody might want to argue that they have not been convicted by a court of law. Okay, and somebody might want to argue that until they are convicted by a court of law, they cannot be said to be terrorists, or except they have been found guilty to that effect. Somebody might want to say that. But we know how this thing goes. You see, over the years, the way they have been treated over the years have shown that there's contributory negligence. And that is why they have been left to fester uncontrollably. They seem to be having a stronghold on the internal workings in government. Okay? Otherwise, they shouldn't be treated just loosely. Most of the times, you know, people like Gumi will tell you that they are our children, that you should give them amnesty or pay them for not attacking. People like Erufai will tell you that they are going to give them money for them to stop attacking. Okay, so you see highly placed government functionaries being complicit about this whole thing, and that's why the American government stepped in. This is not the first time. As I talk to you now, there is no viable, concrete trial ongoing against any serious terrorists in the country. Okay, we have just few, maybe 2 or 3. Okay, in the huge number that have been arrested over the years. Okay, they only take them to cooperate them. The next thing they release them. Okay, there are cases where even government have said they will rehabilitate them and send them abroad to go and study and the rest of part of the reason why our image is being further damaged is the way we treat terrorism with kid gloves, almost like pampering them, almost like in some states they used to have meetings with government functionaries. You've seen that in some states they have meetings with their AK-47 assault rifle. You see government functionaries there negotiating and all that. Then the terrorists will be giving them terms and conditions, giving government terms and conditions that government must fulfill. Otherwise, there'll be problem. As I speak to you now, there's a case of some kidnap that happened in Borno State. I don't know that you have the information.
Yeah.
And the terrorists are asking for a huge amount of money for two persons who is in their captivity. Okay, they're asking for, I think one, they're asking for 300 million plus for one, and the other almost something like that, in the neighborhood of that. So these are the people that when we now arrest them, we'll now treat it with gloves and then release them. So the problem will continue as long as we are not ready to decisively deal with the situation.
But then again, how will this affect the morale of our security agents or forces who risked their lives, day and night to capture these bandits?
There's no morale any longer, and that is why they are on TikTok now. The bandits and the security people, what do you call them? If not that America took a decisive step to bomb their stronghold, they were already on TikTok. The next thing they were supposed to do, the next phase that they were supposed to do was coming out to play football with people, or to hang around the neighborhood unrestrained. That's what is left. They are so integrated in society that you really cannot say these are the bad boys, these are the dissidents of the country. So it weakens the morale of the fiber, the security fiber of the country. It put creates fear and panic amongst the people. And as I speak to you, they are still attacking every day in Borno, in Zamfara, in Yobe. That's who has this. There's still killings ongoing every day. And some of the attacks, you don't even hear about it at all because the press are not able to go into those areas to report any news. Okay. So.
Well, I just hope they don't live amongst us, we don't have them amongst us, more of living under the guise of, okay, I want to be part of you, and you will not know if this person is a bandit or a terrorist. You just be flowing with them and all of that. We just hope our government really look into this and then still boost the morale of our security officials. Yes.
All right, so let's get to the Punch newspaper for today and straight to the talking point. We have it that the federal government proposes 41 billion naira to upgrade 109 foreign missions. Barrister, we're talking about houses that Reno Mokri would go and make himself available. Femi Fani-Kayode, Ipazu, what's the INEC man now? Professor Mahmoud Yakubu.
Yes.
Now, these are embassies and our consulate that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is proposing 40 billion naira for. What's your take on this?
Well, in fact, you appoint ambassadors. You have to make provision for their housing, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you make provision for their housing. These are, as it were, now delegates of the federal government in representative capacity, diplomatic capacity to other nations. Yes, as far as the government have come to that conclusion that these are the best amongst us, governors that have no pedigree in level of performance, human index development, no history of. One of the governors was the one who proposed 500 naira for women when they give birth, whilst he was a governor. And when the press asked him about his achievement, he said, Abia State have achieved so much that there's Mr. Biggs and there's KFC in Abia State. That's the person that is going to be a consulate, or whatever you call it. So it's government responsibility to give them accommodation wherever they send them to. It does not matter who they are, as long as they have been chosen by the government and have been so cleared by the National Assembly. There's no other thing that is holding them back. Government will put the money down and that is what it is.
Okay. Should we look at another
Yes, let's
story,
look on the story.
Barrister has given us what we want.
Yeah.
So on the Vanguard.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So on the big story we have this should be our
that should be our main conversation.
So let's just do this one. 466 killed, 2,638 detained. That's in
Iran.
Iran. Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think, Barrister? That's from a foreign scene now. Do we see an end to the regime in Iran with all of this going on, and it's still going on as we speak? What's your take on that?
There have not been. Was there a time without any semblance of peace in the Middle East? That's one question you asked. I mean, the Middle East has always been that. It moves from one country to the other. And for the Middle East, it moves from one country to the other. For the past 30 years, there have not been any peace in the Middle East. It's either it's in Gaza or Israel, or moves just like that. Before now, it was Hamas and Israel, right? We were talking about it every day. Now it's moving gradually from there to another spot. So it has always been like that. The part also, the government system with their interaction with the international politics, international contacts, the issue of, suspicion and non-suspicion of nuclear, with level of governance, with, you see, that whole spot is a trouble spot of the flashpoint, okay? So, the crisis has deepened further, much more dangerous now, really dangerous now. Okay, so it's been like that. We're looking at America's incursion and the survival of the government at hand, vis-a-vis the current problem and situations they face in that region.
I just truly do hope that the things will get better. As we speak, the Supreme Leader, Khamenei, we learned he is in Moscow, hopefully to safeguard himself, especially going by what happened to Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. But my question again is, Barrister, why isn't Iran possibly looking at the template as made possible by countries like Dubai, the UAE, Qatar, and ask themselves, why not let's develop like these people and allow peace reign, rather than funding terrorists and bandits and terrorists and all? Why do you think it's different for these people?
When you look at the Arab Emirates, the Muslim faith, they have different schools of thought and different belief systems. Okay, there's one that for the Arab Emirates, they are very progressive, very linear. They do not express fanaticism, and have not been found caught directly or indirectly sponsoring terrorism. The Arab Emirates, that's talking about Dubai and there's. Apart from Qatar, that have a link with Hamas, for the Arab Emirates, Dubai, remember that they were the ones who first of all got the names of those sponsoring Boko Haram and sent it to Nigeria.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, very well.
So you see, they are not. When you go there, when you go to Qatar, you see the whole place look like the West. Development at a high speed, human index, both capital and human development at a very high scale. Okay, commerce at a very high scale, and the quality of life and governance is quite at a very high scale. If you compare it to Iran, you can't compare it to Iran because there's an element of acceptance or sponsor or support for terrorism by Iran. They support subgroups, very big groups, and you can imagine using national income to support violence. Okay, and that is why they get in the way of America all the time. Okay, their focus is about expanding their religion across and taking out anyone who will stand against that. And that should not be a national policy, because it's a country that that have a lot of resources that should maximize it. You see, the reason America clamped down on countries that have a lot of resources and at the same time sponsoring terrorism is that they have a tendency to cause incalculable damage with their volume of wealth. If they channel it to terrorist groups, these terrorist groups are able to use it to cause serious havoc to humanity. You can't be so that wealthy. I mean, considerably wealthy. I mean, Iraq is considerably, Iran is considerably, not as if they are. So there's always that need to bring them to a point of halt. Otherwise, they could use their resources to destroy mankind by sponsoring very dangerous organizations and subgroups that have terroristic tendencies.
Very well. Of course, the UAE is leading that peace process, that unity and diversity, encouraging the world to come to their place.
Yeah.
They even build churches in the UAE and ask people to come worship. You know, that freedom of everything. You know, that's what they are building. I just hope that it would last. Because historically, we've seen in the Middle East where someone starts a very good cause, the child of such a person comes and destroys it, and everything goes back to square one. But Barrister, let's take a look at the sporting angle, but of course, taking a look at it from a more moral state here. The owner of Bua conglomerate, of course, Alhaji Rabiu, promised the Super Eagles 1.4 billion naira. And equally added that for every goal scored, that he is giving the Super Eagles $100,000 for every goal scored. So if they eventually do 10 goals, he's giving them $1 million.
Yes.
Let's assume that is even possible. But it is not our right to, an artist said, you want to help me calculate my money. Right? It's not our right to help the billionaire calculate his money. Yeah. But let's take a look at it from a societal, moral construct. Do you think it makes any sense that Alhaji Rabiu is giving this much to the Super Eagles while his home country, his home state of Kano, the latest results we have, statistics said about 1 million out-of-school children are currently doing their thing in Kano State. So help us. Do we not talk about this, or should we just allow it slide?
We should talk about it. But while we talk about it, we should know that it is not his responsibility. A responsibility to go and rescue 1 million whoever is out of school. That's government responsibility. Okay? If you are saying government should initiate a process of, recovering those who are out of school, and government is approaching, or a group, an NGO or whatsoever is approaching him for assistance to have them reintegrated into school, that's a different conversation entirely. But it's not squarely his responsibility to go do that. And a man of wealth, it is his prerogative to decide how he wants to spend his money. If he wants to give to footballers, fine. If he wants to use it for children that are out of school, that's fine. That's his business, This is a businessman, okay? Let us not look at the issue in isolation, that is giving this kind of money to Super Eagles players, and therefore, let's look at the volume of employment. You know that recently, not too long ago, he gave monies to his workers, those who have been with him for a very long time. Okay? Yes, he gave up to, I think the list of them where they said they had 75 million thereabout.
Yes.
He gave over 30 million, 40 million to individuals, who have been working with him from time. So we should look at those gestures. We should look at the number of persons he has employed, the number of public courses he has deployed resources to. It's not the only one in the country. Governments should go and the governor of Kano State and the Ministry of Education in Kano, the Ministry of Youth and Social Development. What is their function? What are their duties? What have they done to get these children back to school that failed or that succeeded? Okay? So, because if we begin to tell people because they are wealthy, every problem in society, they should be the one to solve it, then government will abdicate its responsibilities. And it's because most of the government functionaries have failed, institutions have failed. That is why we look up to individuals, I mean, in this part of the world, to come and do what government ought to do. You understand? The judiciary practically now is very dark man now than the court of law.
Yeah.
With its volume and huge deposit of ignorance. So, because non-state actors who attempt to want to fill in the responsibilities of institutions are failing so much or so well in their duties to the point where people resort to otherwise, what is the government for? For the security and welfare of the people. What children out of school is the security and welfare of the people. Government should address it. The federal government, the state government, the local government have to collaborate. If we find education critical, if we find education as an important thing, the government should be able to, face the challenges that confront that sector and solve it.
Yes, but Barrister, whilst I agree with you, the fact is, how about situations where we have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? Without them, there would have been lots of communicable diseases in Nigeria that would have ravaged lots of kids in Nigeria. He has been responsible for taking care of tuberculosis, leprosy, and so many others. So don't you think it equally makes sense that if we can get such aid internationally, locally, we can equally take advantage of these people that have more than enough money and equally allow them to do as much as Bill and the Melinda Gates is doing for Africa and Nigeria?
Yeah, if it's not part of the direct initiative of the Boa group, that's why I said NGOs can approach them. Okay, nothing stops NGO from approaching them to have that done. It's not utterly right for governments to go after them and say, come on. No, that's why I say NGO. NGO will stand in the middle, in the gap, okay, to have that done. If truly is what the Boa group is part of their corporate social responsibility, they want to do that as part of it. They have other things they are doing. They have, they do charity. They do a lot of charity. Apart from the fact that it's a capitalist arrangement, they do charity. Okay, so if we don't know the content, because sometimes charity will have focus. If we don't know the content of the kind of charity they do, then we may not know why they are not in the issue of children out of school. We may not know why. The Bill and Melinda Foundation, that one is a global institute or an NGO that is doing so much across the world with the wealth of Bill Gates and all that. Okay? So, what I think should be done is that the relevant NGO can approach. If you have a mind for such kind of public cost and the other volume, and if he buys into whatever it is, then the NGOs can approach him to have that done.
All right. Of course, we'll end by saying congratulations to Alhaji Rabiu. Talking about the Anthony Joshua accident that happened. And when people were lambasting Ogun State and that were Abiodun for not having ambulances, guess what the data boys of Abiodun did? They brought out a picture of Bua, the same man we're talking about now. He donated about 20 ambulances to the state. You know, so they brought it out to show to Nigerians that you say we don't have this, but this is it. But now people made them know that this was a kind gift from one individual to a state government that has more than enough money. 20 or 500 times the money that
I think
has.
This should be one of the necessary or one of the important essential we need, you know, because Bua coming to, you know, to gift, it's a very good gift to gift the Ogun State government. You know, I think it's something that should be a wake up call to the Ogun State government that you can do more. You don't even need to wait for any individual to help you. You understand? So this is more of like, okay, this is an eye opener that you can actually give more and more, and it will even bring your people closer to your hearts, right? So giving is very important in this situation, and
yes,
that's all I can say.
All right, beautiful. So we would leave it for now, and just to let you know that the barrister would still be here to take us on our main conversation when we return. Impeachment drama. Rivers lawmakers cry foul. That in a beat. Enterprise of morning it is. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back.